Twilight was better before she got wings.
What about Rarity? Are we really supposed to believe she learned anything she wrote in there?
Fluttershy is just so painfully shy, it's hard to relate. I mean, come on.
Are Pinkie Pie and Applejack related or what? They took my job! They took your job! They took your job! They took your job!
If ever there was an episode that summed up the fandom, or even the internet as a whole, in any series and show, this has got to be the most accurate depiction I can think of. Hello there my friends, I'm the editor and welcome back to Cut and Print. Today I'm here to talk about Fame and Misfortune, an episode which gives you a brief sum up into what it's like to be well known and have a fan base who are either loyal, devoted, or simply batshit crazy. So let's begin. The episode starts off with Twilight handling a friendship dispute over two fillies who unfortunately have to remind us all that Generation 3 existed at one point.
Toola, Roola, coconut cream, what are you doing? Hi, Toola, Roola. Hey there. Hi. This is going to be dashing.
May Celestia have mercy on everyone's souls who have had to live through that. Anyway, helping out brings back memories of when Twilight and her friends used to record their lessons, learnt about their friendship back in Season 2 through 4. And this pretty much sets the bar for what's to come. Because the six all agree on publishing their lessons so that all of Equestria would be able to learn from what they have learned. Now, straight from the get-go, this is a good and bad way to get about literally practicing what you preach. On the one hand, it's nice to see how far each of them have developed throughout the seasons, and through all the different ways that they have learned the lessons, and have shaped not only their character development, but also the way they have made their mark into the world around them, and even in the MLP fandom, the good, the bad and the ugly. Seeing as how each of them have been able to show their progression as the show itself has developed, and the way that they can all symbolically connect the stories told to us, taken from personal events that can link to the way each and every one of us have had something similar happen to them in their lives, or even references from previous shows in the past, not even relevant to MLP. However, the downside is that they are key events that have happened to you, and you alone have documented how it has changed the way how you have changed because of the situation and how you may have been unaware or ignorant to the truth of something that you need a different pair of eyes to see in the first place. That is why it is special to the six. How is this going to benefit others? This is all theological, all devoted to how one can perceive individual beliefs and opinions on events close to themselves and those around them. So the idea on relating to past lessons of someone else isn't going to help if the circumstances aren't the same. If anything, it can become misinforming if interpreted the wrong way. From this point on, the episode is on a scale of either matching the quality of the lesson to get their meaning across, or being misunderstood, which is unfortunately the very first response the journal receives.
The friendship journal's making us super popular. But the purpose of the journal isn't supposed to be marketing.
Now, from this point on, the episode is nothing more than a blissful trip. Take my hoof as I whisk you through the very confines of the internet and the fandom as a whole, my little ponies. Let's see. Collectors? Check. Idealists? Check. Enthusiastics? Check. Realists? Check. The insatiable? Check. Haters? Check. Admirers? Check. My personal favourite out of all these psychopaths has to be this guy.
Some ponies would argue that it doesn't seem believable that the six of you would be friends. I read this journal cover to cover, and I have to say your character would have been much more interesting if she'd stayed in Canterlot.
My character?
Analysis? Checkity check check. And it only gets better from here. Unbelief?
What about Rarity? Are we really supposed to believe she learned anything she wrote in there?
Arrogance?
Team Dash! She's the only one who didn't really need to learn anything because she was already so cool.
Shameful love and appreciation?
Fluttershy is just so painfully shy, it's hard to relate. I mean, come on.
Fanboy who questions the way that the fandom has progressed?
Twilight was better before she got wings.
and what I can only assume a reference to TeamFourStar's Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Are Pinkie Pie and Applejack related or what? I can see the future!
I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel there with that last one, I know. But the way this is going, I don't see why not. You know what this episode is? Idealism. The practice of forming or pursuing ideals, especially unrealistically. Going so far into looking at something with so much depth that it's overthought and overhyped for something so simple as an idea to include. This is the internet and I freaking love it. So how much more can this episode be perfect? Add in a song to prove a point.
We're not flawless. We're a work in progress.
Ah yes, the old trope thinking that just because you sing a pretty little song to get your point across, that everyone is simply going to just fall for what is said.
So let it go.
On top of that, we have a final little inspiring speech from Twilight saying that even they are not perfect and without flaw. Which, thank the Emperor, I'm glad they got that across. Let's face it, if everyone liked the same thing and could agree at the same point, at the end of the day, nothing would ever get done. And I'd be out of a job. But of course, Twilight forgot it's the internet and the MLP fandom she's talking to. So their response is... unresolvable disputes and arguments. Oh, the symbolism is sung in this episode. And quite frankly, it's the second best part of the episode. What comes next is the best part.
We just wanted to say thank you. It showed us that friends can go through all sorts of tough times and come through stronger than before.
It's made us better friends than we've ever been.
Knowing we've helped fillies like you,
It makes everything we've been through worth it.
Did you get that? The fillies are happy with what has been done and remain loyal no matter what. Think about that for a sec. Outside you have a squabbling mass of people, be it grown adults, both male and female, and even adolescent ponies. Granted, a few kids, but their views are subjected to only the one subject matter because of favoritism. Outside there, arguing over simple lessons for simple characters in a simple show. Going over the top and overthinking for something so simple as, wait for it, a show for children. This is the internet. This is the analysis community. Hell, this is us, the MLP fandom. We spend our dedicated hours ripping apart episodes, characters, fan-made projects for our own beliefs and idealisms because we want others to know how we feel about the subject matter as a whole. And in short, others look at these videos, art pieces, and even opinions of others to gain an understanding on stuff we've missed out on. Not your thing for reviews? There is also art. Carefully thought out and constructed masterpieces, both visual and audio. Pieces that can make you feel happy and you can express yourself because it relates to you in a strange and yet enjoyable and pleasing way. Or it can make you emotionally touched with how something that can be shown and enjoyed differently, even in a way that you never even thought of in the beginning. But at the end of the day, these little fillies are there to represent that at the end of the day, all of this that the show is made for, the kids, the primary audience. Granted, the show will place in references that older children and old-time adults can enjoy with watching it, but it's all worth it if the children are happy. And let's face it, most of the fandom who consider themselves bronies and Pegasisters, we like to believe we're growing up enough. But at the end of the day, we're all just kids. Said by one of the greatest producers of universal ageless entertainment himself, you're dead if you aim only for kids. Adults are only kids grown up. Walt Disney. For the show to come up with a premise as heartfelt and awe-inspiring, it's making me proud to call myself a brony. Because if this is the level of understanding that we can all come to at the end, we will all become true fans of the show. Now there will always be conflicts to arise over topics, subject matters, and even drama that this fandom has an unhealthy representation for creating. But at the end of the day, if we all come together and admit that this show is flawed, yes, we are all flawed, and that as long as the aimed audience is happy, it's all worth it. You will never destroy a child's love for something they are passionate about, and that is what it is all about. Overall, my friends, I love this episode. Not because it makes everything as clear as crystal for how the internet and the fandom is seen, and how they can react to parts of the show, being proud or ashamed for what it stands for, nor the fact that in almost every spectrum is explored through representation, but the fact that at the end of the day, the younger viewers are who matter and who the main audience. If we get some things that we want to see in the show from time to time, so be it. But say that, for instance, my niece, who I thank for getting me in this show, is happy in how it's going for her. I care little for anything else. So with that, this episode gets a gold rating. A perfect episode and one of my favourite. I've got nothing else to say on that, so I'm just going to leave it there. Until next time, my friends, I'm the editor, and cut, that's a wrap.